Welcome to the Stars Aligned Dramas and Dreams podcast, where the infinite sky meets the starry world of dramas. We're your guides to the cosmos, from heart-stopping queer love stories to straight dramas of unexpected love.
And every unforgettable moment in between that make us swoon, laugh, and cry. And, of course, we'll sprinkle in a little stardust along the way.
I'm Nixie.
I'm Cyrus.
Each week, we'll explore the stellar journey of love, identity, and connection, one drama and one dream at a time.
So, gather your stardust, find your spot under the stars, and let's dive in.
This week, we're casting our gaze upon the TharnType universe, letting the stars guide us through the exciting and vast world it holds.
To start our exploration, we need to understand one thing. What is the TharnType universe and why does it matter?
It matters because it's the universe in which MAME seems to put all our characters in. And to be fair, it's not really the TharnType universe. TharnType's just the biggest franchise she really had in the early stages. That kind of, for our sake, we're labeling the TharnType universe. It's the MAME universe, I guess.
Yeah. But here most people refer to it as the TharnType universe, even though it wasn't the establishing universe. But,
No.
we'll get into it later. There's so much that can be said, but so much that can't be said just because sometimes we do like our lives.
We're not here to start wars.
No. The biggest part of why it matters is it genuinely is a very influential universe. Very notable. A lot of people know of it. And I feel like it's one of those things that is very divisive. Either love it or hate it. Everyone has their opinions. We definitely have ours.
To sum up the importance of it is essentially we're talking about it, one, because of the series Satellite of the Week, but two, because it's very prominent in the BL industry, just because if you watch any of MAME series, not always, but most of the time to a certain degree, series cross over with each other, and there's features, and so it's because it's a whole universe on its own, and it's played a pretty significant role, especially with TharnType being, I think, if you got into the series around the time and COVID hit, it tend to have been most people's initial dive in to BLs, weirdly enough. And then it was Kin Porsche. I feel like Kin Porsche was the follow-up one that caught a lot of people into the genre. But that's why we kind of want to talk about it, because it'd be a fun discussion. And opinions are also welcomed by the end or during podcast, pieces, comments wise.
Since we now understand the basics, let's break down the constellations of the TharnType universe, mapping out the stars that connect to reveal the deeper layers of meaning we're exploring.
To navigate this constellation, we'll be focusing on how establishing titles, current lore, and audience perception impact the TharnType universe.
We start our exploration with establishing titles, where we'll examine the heart of the TharnType universe and explore how it's essential to understanding it. Gosh.
Oh,
early TharnType.
That is literally the first one we can talk about, because it is the universe in which we are referring to.
And what a wild ride TharnType truly is.
I don't really want to get into the story plot so much as just the universe element of it. And this one, I feel like I said before, just seems to be even... Back up. Sorry. We made a comment about how technically TharnType wasn't the first one. Technically, Love by Chance was the first one. It was, though, on the other hand, made by a completely different production company. But going back to those series, technically Love by Chance was the very first series that kind of involves his universe. And whatever happened with that company kind of messed it up for the rest of the universe, because I don't know if we preference this, we'll be basing a lot of this off of strictly series, not the novels. And there is a situation that happens between 1 and 2 where they kind of redo things that happen in season 1.
They fuck up the timeline real early.
And the timeline gets real messed up because of that. Cantaloupe and...
10.
Yeah, 10s. It focuses on them in season 2, unlike the other season where it was focused on...
A and Pete.
AME. Wow.
I'm
You
telling
remember
you,
these a lot more
names
than
are
a
in
lot
my
more well than
brain.
you thought you did. You really are. Oh my god, you're on top of this. Like, I had the actors' names, did not have characters' names for a second there.
Mhm.
So yeah, it focused heavily on them in that season, and then turned around and tried to do Tin and Can. The problem was they redid a lot, and so it was kind of difficult
Yeah.
towards season 1 and season 2 because timelines were getting all messed up. Like I think, like, I don't think they just redid Tin and Can. I think they also
Mhm.
completely messed up the timeline because I want to say this took place supposedly after
Yeah.
Pete left A, and so that because that was their excuse for why Saint wasn't in season 2, and that was kind of rough. That was kind of difficult to go through in terms of like knowing like this is kind of very off, unless there's some deja vu things going on for Tin and Can. I don't know. But it was not lining up. But then we turn around and find out that this took place apparently after TharnType, because TharnType takes place before
Mhm.
By Chance, because Type was a part of the football team. And yes, I'm going to use everyone else's term, so technically soccer, but football team. That I think he was no longer, either he was a senior. I think he was a
Yes.
senior
I was
because
also gonna
Earth
bring
played
that up.
him.
I was waiting because that's wild to me.
Yeah, because Earth. That is still wild. I forget he played Type before Golf did. But like Earth played him, and I think he must have been a senior at that time. I think he must have been like the captain or something. I can't fully remember. But he played the senior, and I think, did we ever have a Tharn?
Not that I remember.
Did someone, or did I think he? But I do think I remember Earth's character
Mhm.
alluring to the idea that he had a boyfriend named Tharn. So it definitely takes place after TharnType universe, which is kind of why we call it the TharnType universe. So going back to TharnType itself, that's a
Yeah.
wild ass story. Just because of how Type didn't like gays, and so ends up with a rooting with the one. Crazy things happen. Man has a whole attitude and never loses it.
People can fight as they want. I've never seen a more stubborn character because, like, Type does not have, again, fight me. Type doesn't have any character growth.
He really doesn't.
Like, the only thing that changes is that he gets a boyfriend. Th and, like, he's still pissy all the time because of it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Uh-huh. To be fair, I don't think Type's behavior was
No.
100% warranted, but I do understand where it came from because of his trauma when he was a kid and having been essayed by a man. And so he kind of was traumatized from it. But his behavior was wild. The way he treated Tarn at the beginning. But at the same time, Tarn, on the other hand,
He also really didn't have a lot of, character growth.
because, like, he basically edited his way into Type to, and then Type was like, maybe I liked it. And let's do it again, but we're not dating. And then turn around, Tarn ends up falling for Type, and then Type kind of eventually opens up his feelings for that universe. Very wild.
TharnType is
Also,
rough, guys. It's a rough time. It's honestly not a fun time, in my opinion.
what was his name? I wanted to say his name was
Techno and
Art, but that was his
Kangla.
name in Triage. Oh, that's not who I was thinking of. But holy shit, you're right. I forgot about their
Mhm.
asses. I hated them. We had so many
Yeah,
tropes that were so bad in this series. I hated that one.
Kangla.
Techno and Kangela.
I
I
agree.
hated Kangela, even though I think he unlike, now that I'm thinking about it, unlike Tarn, didn't essay him. He just made him think
Blackmail
he
is also
did.
not great.
But that was still enough for me. That was still enough for me. That was enough for me. I remember despising
I
Kangela
also remember you despising
so
Kangla.
much. I can't believe I forgot about that couple. And then there's also one more couple because we had a stepbrother relationship
Mhm.
between Earth's character. What were their names?
Tim
'Cause
Tim
there were four
it's
relationships in the Love by Chance.
one of them is Tum.
Wasn't Title the name of the
Yes.
other actor? Because it was title and Earth?
Earth's character changes because like there was a different actor each in both seasons. One of their names was Tum
Tum
and
and Tar.
Tar. That's it.
Earth didn't play. Because, like, weirdly enough, Kangala didn't exist in, TharnType. Kangala came
Yes.
into play in Love by Chance's
Mhm.
universe, or part of the story. On the other hand, Tum and
They
Tar
crossed over.
did exist in both TharnType and Love by Chance. And then we also had, what was it that was going on between Li Hong Champ and Kuli? Because, like, they're best friends. Because I remember, because we also, because in season 2 of TharnType, we had a new additional side couple that outside of us meeting Sir and Pugan, okay? Because we also met,
Then Leo and Fiat.
I forgot about Leo Flat, but you're right.
Wow.
Leo Fiat also got involved in season 2. I'm
You
sorry.
loved Jaw first.
I was thinking of all the other. I'm sorry. I love them too. There's that one. I think the universe to me, I felt like started getting better in what was happening
I agree.
from Don't Say No and up for the most part. TharnType, a little rough. Love by Chance, a little rough.
A little.
I think when she started taking over with her own company, a lot. Taking over her company, I think it got a little bit better because she had more creative control, I would like to say. But what I was going to say is there was also the Doctor.
Champ and Dr.
There was
Kung Fu.
Champ and Com. Yeah.
I love them. They were precious.
Yeah. Which we did not get much of as a couple.
We didn't.
But they were one.
Champ just wanted to eat. I heard that chuckle. Champ was a foodie. I heard that chuckle and I knew what it meant.
Shampoo.
It's not what I meant. Sometimes I hate it here.
I wasn't even thinking that.
I thought you were.
I think you're the one that was dirty. I think you're the one with the dirty mind.
I heard the chuckle and immediately like she is thinking what I didn't mean.
Okay, look, we need to talk about that. Moving on. I do think, ironically, somehow when MAME took over, we do get more NCs, which is wild considering TharnType was pretty intense.
Yeah.
TharnType was kind of porn.
You're stressing me out.
It was! And then it just became stray porn with some pizzazz when she took over. Somehow,
NC with consent.
Less red flaggy.
Consent was added in the later series.
Very important. Very important. I will say, I feel like I do have more to say about the newer ones.
I do too.
For sure, because I liked them more than I did the TharnType and
Love by Chance, yeah. Most definitely.
Chance.
But I will say, we talked a lot about like what we didn't like in them. And like while Love by Chance season 2, A Chance to Love, was objectively bad. Est is in it. And 2, I actually really liked them.
Damn it, that's another couple I forgot about.
Because it's
Mean plays in that series.
It's Est and Mean.
And Est was his partner because, remember, I made a comment back in our Tampo episode. I don't remember if it made it into the episode, but me talking about how when I first like started seeing S in Tampo, my brain accidentally kept referring to him as Gon Hin because that was his character name in Love by Chance.
Yeah.
But yeah, because
they're actually
and
really
I remember
precious. I like them a lot.
I did like them. I remember seeing Mean again for the first time in a good while in A Long Nai. And my immediate thought was, how does this man look younger than he did in Love by Chance? Because I felt like in Love by Chance he looked somehow older.
Yeah. He had a kid in that series.
But then you put him in A Long Nai and he looks young.
Yeah.
I'm like, this man looked, and he is young. So I was like, wait a minute, he was super young in Love by Chance. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Magic.
But like
he pulled off reverse aging.
Even like in the dark times that is early TharnType universe, there are specks of light. Like we get the introduction of Leo and Fiat. We get Sir and Pugan. We get Tun and Ganhin. So like there is sparks of light. There are sparks of joy. But those sparks are so overpowered by the mess and uncomfy the rest of it feels, to me personally.
Yeah, a lot went on. TharnType was unfortunately, weirdly enough, my first Thai
It
BL.
was.
Kind of, actually, it kind of wasn't, kind of wasn't. Technically, I had seen Kiss, the
Oh,
series,
yeah.
which featured
Mhm.
Pete Cow, but I did not get the chance to ever go in to and actually watch Pete Cow in their series. So when I actually stumbled across actual BL, my first one was a Taiwanese one, and then turned around was TharnType.
TharnType was my 8th BL in total, 7th Thai.
Yours was definitely further down the line than mine was.
It still surprises me that it isn't that early up on my list.
Which I do think I ended up watching TharnType 1 and 2, and then Love by Chance 1 and
Me
2
too.
back to back.
Same.
Now, I did not get to watch Don't Say No along with them because it
And
had
yeah,
not been
same.
released at the time I had watched those.
Same.
It took a little bit further down the road before it finished and I watched it. Oh, to have some of those memories back. Not TharnType and Love by Chance, but
Yeah,
Don't Say No would be a nice one.
I think it's fair to like have nostalgia for the era and not the show itself.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of what it
Yeah.
was. That's truly what it was. With that being said, we shift orbits and we find ourselves at more recent dramas. This new path takes us deeper into the TharnType universe, uncovering hidden connections and unfolding new layers.
Now we're entering into the shows we like.
This is where we get into Don't Say No. So starting with like what would happen next in order, I technically take that back. We would technically backstep and go to the Boy Next World. I would say in terms of releases, it would be
Mhm.
Don't Say No, but Don't Say No happens after
Yes.
because Leon Fiat gets introduced
Season
in
2.
season 2, which is already after the timeline of Sir and Pugan.
Because like they're an
So we
established
don't really
couple
need to.
in a season 2.
Exactly. And we don't really need to go too much into the story because we have a whole series satellite dedicated to this that comes out Friday after this one, after this general episode.
Yeah.
But this one takes place somewhere between, I'm assuming, I would like to think maybe a year or so before TharnType. So I think maybe 6 years into their relationship. Maybe. I'm still not sure where that timeline lines up because I still cannot remember for the life of me what when Pugan and
Sir.
Sir
Yeah.
show up because I still have not gone back and watched the scenes that come from season 2.
I simply refuse to. I'm not putting myself through that.
Even just a
No.
skim?
Full stop. Full no.
Okay. Well, anyways, we haven't gone back and seen where they come into play, or because like if we went back in time to see where they play, then we could kind of probably make an estimate based on where Pugan is in his
school, yeah.
schooling. Because I would assume Sir's already out of school because he was
Senior.
already a senior in this
Yeah.
storyline, and so
or they just fucked up the timeline more because like that's happened. You never know.
very much possible. But like back to what I was saying though. That does bring into the play of we get new side characters. We start expanding more into their part of the universe, which is like Wim and Jin. We get them.
Very fun. Love them.
Love them. And we go in depth heavily on them in the series Satellite. So feel free to check that one out. But we get introduced with them and we don't really get any more other connections other than maybe Tharn coming into play, which is Tharn's
older brother.
who makes a comment about how his brother is obsessed with his boyfriend, so aka Type. So we, like we said, we know it's same universe, same situation, because we also knew that from season 2 of TharnType. But again, we get reestablished with that.
And then mentions of
But
Danya.
moving on,
Love her. Who was played by Becky. Wrong section to bring that up in, but must be said. Wild.
Must be. Absolutely. But moving backwards, we kind of, it's kind of all the Boy Next World ends up presenting with us in terms of the universe and like who is in plays into that one.
And like kind of mildly bringing in supernatural elements, which wild. But
like that's kind of really all that was really majorly introduced to us in the Boy Next World, but taking a step back, sidestepping back into TharnType, just sidestep back into Leo and Fiat.
So then Don't Say No.
Yep, we go into Don't Say No, who we get introduced where this is where we discover Leo has a brother named
Leon?
Leon, played by Smart, who right now actually is currently in a series. Is actually pretty good. It's got top form. Should go check it out. Anyways, little shout out. Moving back. I had to. It's been insane seeing this man for the first time in several years. You know what the other one came out like
Mhm.
21, so I haven't at least seen them since Don't Say No, and so seeing him as a lead now in another series. But anyways, back to the universe. We get introduced with Leon and what was it?
Pop.
Pob, yeah.
This is insane.
So Leon and Pob.
How do I just have them?
You remember them way better than I did for sure.
I've only
For someone who has opinions,
forgotten one name, and that was Tar.
this is showing some stuff for sure. But anyways, we get introduced with them, and I must say, a little bit outside of like talking about all the people and the connections to the parallel, one of my favorite things about Don't Say No was the representation that we had with Leo and Fiat, because we learned that they were childhood friends and that Leo loved Fiat, and technically Fiat liked Leo, but he never thought he had a chance with Leo, and they're slept around and whatnot, and so Leo kind of like put up with the fact that he slept around and did all these other things, until they finally confessed to each other, ended up together and whatnot, and so we get introduced to them, reintroduced in season 2, where apparently they have changed their labels to boyfriends, okay? And it's
Best
awkward.
friends to lovers.
They're like, I'm not sure how to handle a new
Mhm.
title. We went from best friends to lovers, like you said. And on top of that, we also get introduced to the fact that Fiat has some best or worst words, fetishes, sexual fetishes, that he was like worried to bring up to Leo. And one, man got caught. 2, Leo was like, kind of like, I'll accept anything. I'm down for anything. So like that's how this show also became spicy on its own. But I love the representation of that awkward stage. Also, Cyrus is 100% fighting for their life after my comment just now about the spiciness of the series.
It's not even like just the acknowledgement of it, because it, it's a fact. It is what it is. It's just the blatant, just I don't know.
It was. Some of the awkwardness was the label thing
absolutely.
and being friends to lovers. The other part was absolutely also Fiat's, like I said, for better or worse, fetishes, sexual fetishes. In what he likes things do. Like do you like, like there were some scenes.
I remember.
Like who was it? Was it one of the twins, or was it someone else gave him like a vibrator?
Yeah.
And a whip or something, and like he opened the thing, and like Leo walked in on him. He went to try to close it, but it also set it off, and so it's just like, oh shoot. Which I do think also turned Leo on in that scene. So this was her also rough series in terms of spice, if you can't handle a lot of spice. So Cyrus was fighting for their life.
To be fair, I fight for my life every time I start a MAME/Me Mind Why series. Like, I know what I'm getting into, even without Nixie's warnings. Though she still gives me warnings, which appreciated.
Oh, I definitely gave you some recent warnings on the Boy Next World, because those were something. So like,
moving on
to that. I think we kind of more cycle. We get the what were the girls' names, because that was her first time doing a lesbian couple. It wasn't prominent, but it was there. I wish she would elaborate more on it, but she has never done that. It was the I think it was
the basketball captain,
was
the manager, and then one of Leo's friends.
Unfortunately, I would not be surprised if you don't remember their names. They were hardly there, and that's what I hated, because I would have loved to see them more. That they were together.
I have a name in my head, but I know it's wrong because I know where it comes from.
Okay, but now I have stuff I want to point out as we're talking. So we've kind of introduced, that I can remember, all the couples, all the characters that really connect. More characters that connect outside of couples comes down to like the twins, Ake and we get into supporting characters, and we get introduced to the twins, which is Ak and To, I believe, or Tho. To?
Something like
Though.
that.
I don't know. I can't remember how that would be pronounced in Thai, but we get introduced to the two twins, which is the actors Chai and Sing. And what I find wild, and like we said before, the universe is already kind of messy, but it's only, I guess in this sense, what I'm fixing to get into, it's only messy if you view the actors directly as characters, instead of completely just new characters, if that makes sense, per se, and just imagining that maybe in their universe they look different, because the same person that plays one of the twins in Don't Say No, which is Ak, turns around and which is Chai, but plays Ak, turns around and plays one of the friends for Sir.
In the Boy Next World. As a Rowan.
Which is same universe, but we have an actor crossing over as more than one character. And to me, it's like makes it very messy if you're really trying to like put faces to characters. But like I said already, and like how I preferenced it, that's only messy, I guess, if you want to view those actors out, directly as the characters they played, instead of completely different characters. Because technically, in the universe, they are different characters. They are not the same one. It's just wild, I guess you could say, per se, to see an actor play a character already in the same existing universe as a different character in that universe, in a different one. And so that was wild realization, because we were watching the series and we were trying to make connections and stuff like that. And then on top of that, I know I'm jumping around, I'm so sorry, but another thing we realized while watching the series is, and when we started making the Jenner episode and like getting the script ready and trying to like break down what we wanted to talk about, what series were a part of the TharnType universe, we came to the conclusion that technically every series MAME has made is in the TharnType universe. Because we thought for a while there that The Wedding Plan and Love in the Air were like a different universe until we were talking, and I was like, wait, and then no, we
remembered
there's a feature at the races, the car race,
the motor races,
at the races, Lon and then the twins, Ak and To, both all show up.
No, the twins show up at the race. Lon
shows up at the party after
the pool party, which I don't know.
Yes,
I think the twins may show up at that party as well. I don't remember.
I don't remember them showing up at the party. I remember Leon or Smart being in like a blow up, like a
floating
donut, floaty. But I remember the twins introduction because they were showing like people at like the car race and stuff like. And I remember specifically this was the car race in which
they were motorbikes.
Payu took Rain, not the one where Rain snuck in, but the one where he, got him in there illegally. Technically, this is an illegal race, but brought him in on his own with him, and he was talking to like Rain about how we have like a lot of big people, like big shots and stuff like that kind of people here,
like influential people.
And then we get several people, but I think it was just a bunch of random people. And then like we get like a really nice shot of the twins starting to walk in and stuff like that, like all costs. And I do remember they were a pretty rich family, so I do know I could see why they would come off in that scene very influential, because like that absolutely was the case for the twins. And so, like I said, that's where I realized, wait a minute, this is the same universe, just like how in The Wedding Plan,
Sky and Rain. No.
Sorry.
Sky and Payu.
What?
No. I'm losing it.
Payu and Rain. No, Payu and Sky. What the fuck? Propie
and Sky get married. We got there.
How did we? We got there eventually. That was wild.
Went through
our brains
other combination first.
Our brain got so mixed up just then. So sorry. We're recalling so many names right now that this makes absolute sense that we did that. But yeah, Propie and Sky get married in The Wedding Plan.
Technically, Rain and Payu get engaged.
Yeah.
So there's that also.
Yeah, but that shows the crossover of the universe. And so the point is, they're still all connected.
A is connected to B, B is connected to C, so C is connected to A.
Okay, yeah. Whatever floats your boat with whatever you just said. But the funny thing about that is that's wild to think about,
Mhm.
considering just like the twins,
Twins crossing
you
over
mean
him.
to tell
Yeah.
me the actors Boss
Boss
and
and Noel
Noel,
play
who play main characters as Peiyu and Rain, now play main characters as Sir and Pugan.
Yeah.
That's just a wild thing to think about. Because, again, I guess as we deep dive into this, I guess you really cannot set up an actor as the look of a character in her universe, like, at all, because of how many character changes and, like,
Yeah.
double ups are used. Because, like, for example, if you go back to, like, A Love by Chance and TharnType alone, Type has two actors that play him. We've got, I think so does Tharn or one of them. I don't remember who else. So like things don't quite line up by actors anyways. And like again, Sir and Pukan also had different
Mhm.
actors. And so you really can't put an actor's face to her characters like at all,
We just like to
as
make
much as you want
things
to.
more complicated than they are.
We do. We love to point it out. Like it's like I get it. I get why she did it. Like, it's also great to see Boston in another one of her series themselves.
That's like Boss and Noel is pretty much the only reason why we watch The Boy Next World to begin with. We got to see our boys. So like not complaining about them being leads in another series within the same universe.
I will state that there's technically one more possibility, but we don't know if it's in the same universe because we haven't seen it, and that is Love Sea. Neither one of us have gotten around to see Pete and Forth's newest one,
It
which
scares me.
absolutely need to. I feel it does. I feel bad about it. I need to get around to watch it, but if like the rest, then it's also somehow linked. Don't know right now how or what is the link. If it is, I would be a little concerned if it is because after checking the casting, Noel and Boss play themselves maybe question mark
Or
because
these
they go by
characters
their own
who
names.
have their same name
That would be wild,
would be wild.
but I wouldn't put it past
I
it.
wouldn't either.
I don't know what goes on in Love Sea or if it even connects at all, but everything else has so far. Like for sure.
Even if it's just by connections through a different series.
Mhm. It's just back to I keep forgetting that the wedding plan and Love in the Air are in the same universe.
And probably Love Sea by something.
And if not now, maybe in the future.
If it does currently and you know it, please let us know.
Because we don't know because we have that is the one series that it looks like by MAME that she's made under her company that we have not seen. No particular reason. We just have not seen it yet. There's so many things to see, so many series to watch. It's so easy not to end up to miss things or not have time.
Finally, our third focus is audience perception. This is where we highlight its significance in understanding the deeper layers of the TharnType universe.
I feel like this universe, it's well perceived to a certain extent, as in, like, that's why her audience is still so big.
Mhm.
But it's also a universe I feel like a lot of people have opinions about.
Oh, absolutely. And I feel like you have strong opinions on either side of the argument.
Hmm.
Like if even like when like we were talking about everyone I feel like has strong opinions on the series on both sides of the spectrum, and like usually like they're stark either side. Like also there are people like us who have very strong opinions about the early ones and opposite very strong feelings about the newer ones. Like we've both have like
Yeah, of course.
very strong, like more on the negative end of the spectrum feelings about the early four versus our more positive outlook on the newer ones. When like put all together, I don't know how I feel about the universe as a whole because I don't know how I haven't really sat down and like weighed out if like my hatred for the early ones outweigh my love for the newer ones.
Hmm.
So that's something that I will probably have to think about.
I'd have to agree. It's definitely the newer ones that I prefer more than the older ones. I like where they've come
Mhm.
and like how they've that time my mind did get a little dirty.
Absolutely. Are you proud of yourself?
This episode seems to be making Cyrus very uncomfortable, and I'm quite here for it.
It's okay. I've gotten to the point where like I know like I know that a lot of the times NC scenes, like, make me a smidge uncomfortable depending on their context,
Mhm.
and really rough ones make me really uncomfortable, and, like, I've come to terms with that, like, that's like, people can call me a prude or whatever, even though I feel like that's unfair because, I'm fine with them.
It's all good. You're not the only one. I promise you're not the only one out there.
Like, I'm just a little ace individual who sometimes just the thought of, like, that type of intimacy, just in general, fictional or not, makes me highly uncomfortable.
But yeah, I think there's a lot of thoughts and comments that could be made towards the TharnType
Mhm.
universe, and people have a lot of opinions about it for sure. And if you want to share some, feel free. We'd love to hear some of the thoughts. Maybe there's connections you also really like, or maybe there's ones you dislike, or maybe what's the thoughts about actors crossing over
Mhm.
into other characters in the universe, as well as the ones that get replaced
Yes.
and have a cast change.
Very common in this universe.
That's very common.
Or in, like, just in
It's
general.
very common in this that's what I was gonna say, it's kinda common in general, especially because if you're expanding on a universe, it's kind of hard to end up with the same
Mhm.
actor, so recasting's very
Yeah.
common. It's not as uncommon as it used to be to using the same actors for characters. I do know back in the old days, and this is, like, American like, stuff, like, TV shows, a lot of, like, the older shows, like, we're talking about, like, the 90s, 80s, and stuff like that, a lot of times would reuse the same actors as, like, multiple characters within the same
Mhm.
series. Just because back then that was so much easier to do that. We've come a long way from doing that, so it's not as often, like I said. But it's just something to fascinating to think about
Yeah, most
when you
definitely.
realize this is supposed to fall under the same universe. And you're like, hey, that's interesting considering you play these characters as
Yeah.
well. And so you're kind of creating a little web here that also reuses actors. I'm not particularly against it. I just think about it a lot.
Fair enough.
We've broken everything down, now it's time to put it all together. In this segment, we'll share our thoughts on the TharnType universe as a full constellation and reflect on its total impact. The impact's pretty significant
Mhm.
for MAME to have created so many of her
Yeah.
stories, and I will admit, very impressively.
Yes.
It is a web, it is a little bit of a mess, but it's such a hard thing to do to create a universe. And there are, like I said, there are some bumps and stuff, but to create a universe and try not to
Mhm.
overlap things, like clearly things do here and things get out of whack. And to be fair, the most insane wacky things had to do when it was the Wasabi Studios, like it was a
Studio
completely
Wabi
different
Sabi.
studio that was dealing with her
Mhm.
previous work, which is
Love a
Love
chance.
by Chance. It got better for sure, I think, in terms of the parallel universe when she did it herself and took on like TharnType and
Mhm.
Up in terms of the universe. And so it's very impressive just on its own to be the way it is because creating characters and like expanding on those characters as well as they're created and like going into like their lives and stuff like that. It's kind of
Yeah,
difficult.
most
And
definitely.
so it is kind of impressive to be the way where it is.
If she wants to continue making and expanding off of side couples, I'm fine with that.
She was supposed to continue off of a lot of the
Mhm.
side couples for Don't Say No, and I'm sad it hasn't happened. I know a lot of people were waiting for the Just Say
Mhm.
Yes, so they were waiting for Leon and Pop's
Mhm.
side story. Honestly, I was waiting on the
The twins.
twins'
Yeah.
side story.
Love the twins.
I wanted that one more. And if I remember correctly, you made a comment how you thought it was weird slash interesting that we have a fantasy element to the Boy Next World, but I think the twins were supposed to have a fantasy element as well that involved time.
Yes, but it wasn't made, so it wasn't put into canon in the drama
Fair
universe.
enough.
So supernatural elements didn't exist in the canon drama universe until Boy Next World.
Fair enough. But to this day, I still want to see the
Mhm.
twins.
But, overall, love it or hate it, the TharnType universe is going to keep expanding because, I don't see MAME stopping.
Maybe we'll do an update episode when it expands more and maybe go more depth than we did. Because right now, we were just heavily focusing on the
Mhm.
connections, their characters,
Maybe we'll deep dive on lore.
than the actual story plot. Oh gosh. If we did that, I kind of would unfortunately would like to take it the reading
Mhm.
part of it so that the lore might be a little bit more
Yeah.
accurate than just drama based, because some of these dramas aren't that accurate. I will say, from what I have read wise, because I did read the Love in
Mhm.
the Air one. Not, unfortunately, I have not gotten around to read Sky and Prop 5, but I did read Rain and Payu's novel. So Love Rain, I did read that
Mhm.
one. And I do want to say it does seem like, for the most part, the stories stay relatively similar to the novels,
That's good.
but I've only read one. So
Limited, data
I
set.
don't have much that can be said. Exactly. And I read a rough translation, so
There's that
it
too.
wasn't even the correct. It wasn't even an official translation. Like, I think you now can find an official English translation on MEB, but it was not on MEB when I read it. It's also the reason why I didn't get to read Sky's story. It was just too. It was too difficult. It felt like literally someone took the book, and just threw it into Google Translation. It was rough to a certain extent,
Ugh.
for better or worse. I got through it, and I understood the majority of what was happening. I was able to follow along. It helped that I read and watched along at the same time,
Mhm.
so I was able to I got to make sure that what I read and what I visualized ended up being the same when it happened in the series, and it felt like that for sure. But yeah,
I do feel like it's unfair to, without at least giving the newer ones a chance, basing your entire opinion on the early ones. Because they definitely have gotten better, and we love to see it. If you've only seen Love by Chance, TharnType, decided to, like, this isn't my thing, give the newer ones a chance. They're worth the watch. Just know that know what you're getting into. Find you a Nixie who will warn you. But you can't have mine.
sharing is caring, but thank you. No sharing. Not in this case. And just like that, the constellation is fully drawn. We thank you for joining us for this episode of Stars Aligned, Dramas and Dreams podcast, where we meet amongst the stars that illuminate the love stories that light up our universe and connect us all.
If you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe, and share your Stardust and thoughts with us. We'd love to hear your comments, favorite moments, or suggestions for what we should explore next.
You can connect with us in the comments or through our socials, as well as our email that are linked in the description. Let's keep the conversation going under the stars.
Until next time, keep dreaming, keep listening, and remember, love always shines brightest in the cosmos. Bye!
Bye.